Hey everybody, I am excited to be talking to you today about the Rhino Billiards Retro Series pool cue. This is their brand new entry into the market. So I'm going to get my declaration out of the way and then we can move on. Yes, YouTube, this cue was sent to me for free. However, this is not a sponsored video, okay? I could care less if you buy this cue. I am a pool player. I have a pool channel. I do a whole bunch of different videos here. This video is just going to be me talking about what I'm seeing. More specifically, 3 of the things that I think are very, very interesting when comparing them to their original entry into the market, the Eclipse, okay? So basically, what this video is going to be is I'm going to get some stuff out of the way at the start, right? At the very beginning, I'm going to take you to the website. I find it to be a little bit confusing how they've laid things out. So I'm really going to break it down on what this series is. What are your options, right? If you were in the market, once you decided the cue that you wanted, you could go there, search it out, and then you order it, right? If you go there not knowing what you're looking for, I find that the navigation on the website is a little bit weird because things are constantly going across the screen automatically. I find that annoying, right? Then I'm going to go over some vital statistics, the comparison between the Eclipse and the Rhino Retro, okay? So I think looking at those things and highlighting what is exactly the same, but then also highlighting what's different between these 2 cues is important, all right? Then after that, we slow it down and we talk about some things that I believe are real forward-thinking things that Rhino has done, okay? And then at the very end of the video, I'm going to talk about some of my recommendations because I believe continuous improvement, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, continuous improvement is important. And there's so much competition right now in this market right here at this price range. I think it's important that a company value of continuous improvement, it has to be there, or else you're going to be left in the dust right now. Technology is forcing companies to get better really fast. And it's been my experience with Rhino so far is they're pretty forward thinking. So, well, let's just get to it. Let's do this. Okay, so as promised, I said I was going to take you to the website. Before we go to the website, let's just talk exactly what this cue series is all about. So you have 5 wood looks, okay? Now this is important. These are not wood cues. The butts are not wood, they are composite. Rhino is very honest about this, okay? And all their cues are composite, right? But the step forward here has been that they have 3D printed a wood look. The 5 woods, repeat, 5 woods that they have come up with are Cocobolo, Snake, Pale Moon Ebony, Bocote, and Thuya. I hope I'm saying that right. Those are the 5 woods. The 5 wood lookalikes, okay? Now, in each wood, you have 3 options. The first option is wrapless. It is the cheapest. It's coming in at the cheapest price. Then you go up to crocodile wrap with just some ring work, okay? Or the third and final option is you just get a lizard wrap, you get the ring work, and you get points, okay? Now just think of those 3 options. Those 3 options you get for every single wood. So 5 wood looks times those 3 options, you have 15 choices, okay? And that is it. So if you know what you're looking for beforehand, you go to that website, then you can find the cue that you're looking for. You only have 15 options, okay? Okay, let's throw out these numbers really quickly and get this out of the way because this is the boring stuff. But there are those geeks out there that like to know this stuff. So I measured, I weighed, I did a few things with my micrometer, and this is what I came up with. The length of the butt is 29 inches, same as the Eclipse. Length of the shaft, 29 3/4. So that's me ending at the top of the sight plate, bottom of the tip, 29 3/4. Width of the top, 21.47 millimeters. They're both the same. Width at the bottom, 31.75, the same. Okay. Shaft weight on the Retro is 3.8. The Eclipse, the same. Here's a slight difference. The butt weight of the Retro, 15.6 ounces. The Eclipse, 15.2 ounces. So the butt weight is just 0.3 of an ounce heavier, okay? The shaft taper, my Eclipse is a 12.8 millimeter. This Retro is a 12.5 millimeter, and that's all that comes with it. You don't have a choice, right? The Pro taper is basically as long on both shafts, right? So that hasn't changed. It's about 9 7/8 to 10.5, right? Depending on how good you are with a micrometer, right? The balance of the shaft, 8 1/4 inches from the bottom for the Retro. The Eclipse, the same. Balance of the butt, 14 inches from butt bumper, same on the Eclipse, okay? So really, the only thing that is different between the Eclipse cue and the Rhino Retro cue when it comes to their composition and physicality is that the butt seems to be 0.3 of an ounce heavier on the Retro. Other than that, they're relatively the same, right? Wrong. So out of all of the measuring that I did and all the weighing, the one thing I could find was that the butt was 0.3 of an ounce heavier than the Eclipse. I don't know what that really tells you. Some people might tell you that they can feel that difference. I don't believe it. Here are my initial thoughts when I grabbed this cue. When I put it together, I'm going to skip one thing there when putting it together. It's put together already, right? It matches up perfectly, okay? The tip, when I have it beside the Eclipse right here, something becomes blatantly obvious. As a person who didn't read the specifications at the start of what this cue actually was, the tips are different colors. So that's a pretty good indication that they've done something differently with the tip. We're going to talk about that because they did do something very different with the tip. Now, the look, okay? The look has nothing to do with playability, granted, but the look is stunning. This is Snake. I got the Snake version with the points and the rings. By getting the rings and the points, as I said earlier, I'm forced to get the Lizard embossed microfiber wrap, okay? The other option is the Crocodile, but with the Crocodile, you don't get to have the points. My personal opinion is I really like the Lizard. When you compare the Lizard wrap to this wrap on the Eclipse wrap is very aggressive. It's different also. It's, well, you can see the aggressiveness. You can feel it in the hand. When I hold them both, I prefer this one. You feel the texture a little. This is exactly like what I have on my regular playing cue. It's exact. When I put them side by side, it looks identical, okay? I like this feel. There's something about this aggressive nature of wrap. I find it to feel fake. I don't like it. What I would like is the option to have this wrap on the cue that just has the rings. Because, you know, I'm in a little bit of a quandary. I kind of like the look of these woods, right? Or these 3D printed overlays that they do, right? I've never considered a wrapless, but the wrapless might be the sharpest of the bunch and it's the cheapest, right? If you get the crocodile wrap, like I said, you don't get the points. I don't know if the points are really necessary. I think I would almost like to have this wrap, but no points. But this is just a look thing, okay? Has nothing to do with playability. You go to the bottom of the cue. You probably can't see with the camera, but this is from my playing cue. It's an extension ready bumper, right? It's more advanced than what comes with this cue. The Rhino, they still have a butt that's harder plastic than what is on my playing cue, and it's not extension ready. They've gone ahead and they've thrown the Rhino symbol on there, which is nice, but in the end, and I know this is on their radar because I've talked to them about this, they're working on getting an extension ready bumper. My one desire is I hope that they go a little bit softer with the rubber, because there is a sound difference when you go and you drop. You won't be able to tell it because I have laminate flooring, but if you're in a pool hall and you drop this, you can hear the difference between composite and wood, right? When I was at Top Shots, Darcy did that and he's like, oh yeah, I can hear that it's composite and not wood. It literally has no, effect on playability, right? I've said that a number of times. I'm not a wood guy, right? I am not a traditionalist. If you can make a cue for cheaper and you can mass produce them and the quality is there, I don't care if it's wood or not, right? This is composite and this is carbon fiber. There's no wood here, okay? And it plays great, by the way. So those are just basically my look things, right? But I want to talk about 3 things that are absolutely intriguing to me. Let's start with the tip. So the tip is very, very different on the Rhino Retro, okay? On the Eclipse, they called this the crystal tip. On the new cue, they call it the time crystal tip. So I shot them a question asking them what their tip is all about, right? On their website, the Eclipse, they said 8 layers of leather, right? Pigskin leather. This one here, I don't want to get this wrong, they call it on their website layers, compress 10 layers into one. Okay, so they're not saying it's pigskin. I shot them a question and I said, I see that the color is different. What have you done differently with this tip? Because initially, my initial reaction was when I played with the Eclipse, and I'm coming from a Caden brand soft, anything is going to feel somewhat harder than what my Caden brand is, right? I found that tip to be on the harder side of a medium, right? Almost hard territory, right? Is it playable? Yeah, it's a consumable. I didn't stress too much about it. This one, initially, on the Retro cue, I felt that it was a medium. It felt like a medium, still harder than what I'm used to because I play with a soft. However, as I played with it, maybe it's just a matter of me getting used to a medium again. For most of my life, since the existence of layered Q-tips, I played with mediums. And man, oh man, I've gotten to love it. It feels great, and it's a factory tip. That's a big deal, right? Factory tips usually are not the best, okay? There are those cue companies that offer a brand name on their cues and then they ship it to you. I'm not a supporter of that just because I like to support my local cue person. I've talked about that before. But this factory tip, they call the time crystal tip, was interesting to me. I haven't ripped it off yet and I played a lot with this cue. So what is it? On the website it says compress 10 layers into one. So what does that mean? I shot them the question. Here's my question. What's the difference between the new time crystal and the crystal tip that came with the Eclipse? I see the color difference and it feels somewhat softer perhaps. Their answer, the new time crystal tip is our latest invention and a revolution in the tip industry. While the Rhino crystal is made from pig leather, the new crystal tip is made from our own developed material and compressed from 10 layers into one. ensuring exceptional durability and preventing delamination. It has better chalk retention and it maintains its shape and functionality over extended periods, promising longevity and consistent play. The name Time Tip reflects its timeless quality, ensuring you spend less time worrying about performance and more time enjoying the game. That's a mouthful. Obviously, they're in the business of selling cues, so that is marketing right there, right? But you can pick out the parts that they're basically focusing on, and every single cue tip company focuses on these things. Will it compact prematurely? Will it mushroom prematurely? Are you going to have to start scuffing it because of the glazing issues that eventually happens with all cue tips, right? So what they've highlighted here is this may be a synthetic tip. They don't say the word synthetic, even though other cue tip companies are experimenting with synthetic. They're moving away from the pigskin leather and they're experimenting with synthetic. My friend Andrew, Jaworski Pool Practice, he was just practicing with a tip. He ripped it off because he did not like, well, he felt that he wasn't getting the amount of juice that he liked or that he was used to, okay? So he took that off and he moved on. He shot with this after our pool league night. He shot with it and like, this tip's fine. This tip's great. That's what he said, right? So that's coming from a person who has shot with a tip that is actually marketed as a synthetic tip. They're not saying synthetic, like I said. So this is their own material. That's their words. So I don't know what that is. If we zoom in on the tip, you can't see the layers, right? If we zoom in on the original pigskin leather tip from the Eclipse, yes, you can see the layers, right? You can see that it's a layered tip. This one, they're not lying. They're saying it's a solid tip, but it's 10 layers compressed into one. That's really interesting. To me, when I'm playing with it, it plays like a medium. And I'm getting juice, I'm getting sauce. It feels good. How long that will last? Well, that's just a durability issue. I can't speak to that yet because I've literally only had this cue for 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I don't think so, but it feels good and I haven't ripped it off. And for a while there, I was actually breaking with it to see if I could get it to squish, but no, it's still perfect. It hasn't mushroomed out. So kudos, Rhino. Moving on. All right, let's talk about one of the most exciting things that I have seen with this cue, and that's the joint. I am a believer that there are 3 things that affect the playability of a cue. The tip, which we just talked about. It's a consumable, but it matters. The shaft, whether it's a low deflection, standard deflection, the material and the process, what makes up a shaft, it plays, okay? The shaft is important. What people don't talk about enough is the joint, okay? And in this case, the joint pin in regards to the threads that are going into the shaft, okay? This is tight. Right now I have it probably 1/2 inch, maybe more, out, and there's no wobble, okay? I come from the school of Hubler, okay? That's why I have it here. This is my old Hubler. Ironically enough, it's Cocobolo, one of the imitation woods that Rhino is offering, right? This is real Cocobolo. I bought this in 94, 95. It's almost 30 years old, okay? What was the selling feature of this cue? It was the joint. It was the nylon insert, okay? This is a 5/16 by 18 joint pin. Almost 30 years old. I have it sticking out 1/2 inch. There's no wobble here, right? Why is it? It's because of this nylon insert that Paul Hubler did, okay? We're gonna talk a little bit more of that when I go to Top Shots with Darcy, so I'm not gonna waste your time. But Rhino, well, in my review videos or my unboxing, I said a couple of times that yeah, the shafts go on wobbly. Okay, so I'm going to throw it together. So far everything looks really nice. Still loose with 1.5 threads. So it's loose pretty much the whole way. It's not like a Hubler back in the day where it was you could just throw on 3 threads and you could almost play with it. That's how tight that nylon insert was. Throwing this in halfway, a little bit, same as before with the other. Yeah, got to go the whole way to tighten it. What Darcy said down at Top Shots was that Hubler was the abnormal one, right? No one was really doing tight shafts like that. It's the norm for cue shafts to go onto butts, I don't want to say sloppy, but loose, right? As you're putting it on, you can put them on loose. I've got a video here with Marcia, my friend who is a big Predator person, and she's got her Revo, and she's putting that on, and she demonstrates here that it's going on loose, right? And then once it's tightened, they say it's tight, right? There's a few, you know, there's that subsection of pool players that say it doesn't matter as long as it's tight when you've got it together. And then there's a other subsection that say it matters, okay? It matters. For example, James Wiebe, owner of Hooked Billiards. I'm going to show you what I sent him. He is the ambassador and dealer of Mez in my area of the world. This is what he had to say. Morning, Andreas. That is correct. I'd say 95% of Mez shafts fit tight. I've come across 1 or 2 out of hundreds that didn't. I know it affects how cues hit. Long story short, I had the exact same cue and exact same shafts. One fit very tight and one very loose. It was a very noticeable difference in hits, the tight one being more solid. Some argue that once the shafts are tightened, the hit is the same regardless of how tight the thread is, but in my experience, that simply isn't true.
Hey, my name is James Wiebe. I'm the owner and operator of Hooked Billiards in Canada. We are the sole distributor of Mez products in Canada, and I would like to take a couple minutes to go through some of the joints that Mez cues have. It's a Mez breaker. It has a united joint, which is a 5/16 by 14. There are a couple models that have this joint. EC9 and the ASTR all have this pin. The unique thing about these pins is when I thread the cue together, they fit very snug. You can see here I'm struggling to put it together with 2 fingers. I actually have to use my whole hand to put it together. This tight fit offers a very solid hit for this type of joint. Second joint Mez has is the Wavy 2. You can see here it's a fairly large pin. It threads into a phenolic insert in the shaft. And again, when I thread this together, once it gets about a third of the way in, I cannot do it with 2 fingers. I have to use my whole hand. This actually fits very, very tight. This cue is about 6 months old, so it is broken in. I've put it together a number of times. And again, with this type of joint, in my opinion, I find it gives the cue a very solid hit. It's actually a little bit of a workout trying to get these apart, but the hit is well worth it.
I am a believer of what James just said there, okay? Coming from a Hubler, 30 years later, it's still tight. That's awesome. And I alluded in my conversations with Rhino that, you know, I enjoy a tight joint, right? And what did they do? They tightened her right up. So they have made the threads tighter on the shaft end, okay? The pin has not changed, right? So as I put it in, loose right now, but I haven't even started threading. I'll turn 1/2 turn. Just a slight wobble. I'm going to turn another 1/2 turn. no wobble. So one turn of a thread and there's no wobble anymore, right? And then you've got all this to go. It's tight the whole way. It's not, it's a constant tightness. It doesn't get any tighter. It doesn't get any less. It's just the whole way tight, okay? That's what I'm feeling here. Thank you, Rhino Billiards, for doing this, because I don't care what people say. Some people think it's a placebo. Darcy will say it's a placebo. I believe this to matter. Tip, shaft, joint matters. Okay, so I've talked about this, the overlay process. I know really nothing about cue making, right? What I know, I've learned along the way, being friends with some people who are way smarter than me when it comes to building these things, okay? I scoured the internet trying to learn about overlay, the overlay process. It's hard to find. I couldn't find not even one video on overlaying a cue. When I was on YouTube, I saw a ton of videos on inlay work, and then I went down the rabbit hole of inlay work, and man, there's some really talented people out there. The software that people have in their home setups where they can design the inlays, make sure everything fits, and then send that file to the computer, and then their drill bit going in and digging the holes for the inlay work. Exceptional. There's some exceptionally talented people out there, but that's not what this is. This is an overlay cue, and when I look at it, I have a hard time. I had a hard time finding, because to my knowledge, an overlay is just something you wrap over it, you adhere it somehow to this composite, and then you do a clear coat to hold it, like it's glued and clear coated. In past reviews, I've found imperfections in the overlay, right? I cannot find the line. I can't find where it repeats. This is very, very well done. So that's where I came up with the idea that, you know what, I'm gonna take this to Darcy. He'll be able to tell me how the overlay process works, because I never did find any sort of valuable information on YouTube on it. And what ended up happening, I did not expect. Let's take a look.
Hi, Dre.
Hey, Darcy, how's it going?
I'm living my best life.
Awesome. You going on a motorcycle ride?
I think a little zip on the highway, head out of town, maybe an hour, couple hour ride, and see what the weather takes us. It's cold outside and rainy, but it's a good day to be inside a pool hall.
Yeah. So thanks for stopping in before you went on your ride.
Absolutely.
What you have in your hand is the new Rhino Retro. This is the Snake Edition, and it's the one with the points and the rings.
You know what? Honestly, I was looking at this a little before we started the camera, and I don't hate this thing. I don't hate it. It is surprisingly well balanced in feeling, and you know, it looks like wood.
Okay.
It doesn't look like real wood.
So right now you're taking it apart.
Yes, I am. I'm taking it apart.
My new love, because of how tight it's going on.
Absolutely.
So can you explain what's going on here? Because initially I thought, okay, what did they change? They didn't change the pin at all.
No, I don't think so.
Definitely the thread that's on the inside. Can you explain? Yes. I am not a professional cue person. Can you explain too?
Absolutely. So the way it feels to me is that they have simply drilled the same size hole. They prepared the shaft like they normally would and used an undersized tap. So it makes the threads tighter and holds tighter. That's precisely what I do when I'm building cues as well. I've got a radial driver here. I'm going to fit that in and see. Oh, it doesn't go in, so I'm not going to spin that cue with my thing. So they've obviously had machined, they've probably got a CNC that cuts threads on their shafts for them, and they've undersized it to make it tighter, and it feels good.
And when, I think you mentioned to me one time, when you made cues, that's exactly what you...
That's what I do. When I use a radial, or a ball threaded joint, I undersize it, so it's tighter.
Yes.
Yeah, we want to keep those threads active as long as we can without having to repair them.
So by having it tighter...
It's going to last longer. Absolutely.
What about the hit, if it's tighter? Do you think it... Or is it a placebo? Is it a placebo with me? Because you know I'm a Hubler guy. You were a Hubler guy.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my first very good cue as a Hubler. And I loved it. And I still love it. It's one of the only cues that I have that I will not ever get rid of.
Yep.
I've customized many, many cues in my life and got rid of all of them. They're still out in the world somewhere, but that Hubler's staying with me. Hubler has a different nylon insert, and it is tight. And they marketed that it was tight. And they used to say, can you take your cue apart and leave this much gap and hit a ball with it? With a Hubler you can. So.
That's why I love this guy.
Yeah.
He agrees with me.
I do. Personally, on my own cues that I build for myself, I use a 3/8 10 thread, and I don't have an undersized tap for that, so the thread it's not sloppy. I don't want to say it's sloppy, but it's not as tight as this is as an undersized radial, or Hubler's 5/16 for 18 pin.
What was it, 5/16 by 18?
5/16 18, yeah, standard.
So this morning I took it off and I had a 1/2 inch gap and no wobble. Yeah. Almost 30 years old. I bought it in 94, 95. Honestly.
Mine's in 96.
Yeah.
Yes.
You buy it from the Dufferin store?
I bought it, this is a story. The guy that owned the Dufferin stores and the pool hall, Lucky 11.
All right.
So they were his. They were from the Dufferin store. And I looked at that cue for 2 years. I quit smoking, and I saved all my cigarette money until I could afford that Hubler, which was $675.
That's how much I paid, 600 bones.
Tom gave it to me for $575.
Oh, you beat me there.
I stole it with 2 shafts, and they were sitting for so long, the ferrules needed to be replaced. So Mark Thwaite replaced the ferrules for me, and I still have that cue with both shafts.
Awesome. My 10mm shaft, the second shaft that came with my Hubler, got stolen.
Oh.
Anyways, back to the Rhino.
Back to this guy, yes.
So I got a question for you now. I scour the internet. I find inlay video after inlay video. I find nothing on overlay videos. So this is a composite,
Yes.
but Rhino says that they print this overlay.
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain to me how?
No, I'm gonna try to break it down. It's like this.
Okay.
I can't tell. Most overlays, especially, you're gonna be able to see a seam where they join. It's an overlay. It's a sticker. So either the points are stickers, lay the sticker on and clear coat over top of it. Finish the cue as normal. But this background, the snake wood that's on here, it's one piece. I cannot see a seam at all. The rings that are on here, there's no joints in them. It looks like a solid ring. Solid rings in all 5 positions. It's actually a really well built, well designed cue. It looks like a custom cue maker would have designed this and made it.
Right.
I don't know how they've done it. We were just speculating. Maybe it's a hydrodip. Maybe it's a 3D print. Maybe the cue's spinning and they're spraying print on it like paint.
So what the spray print? What, like, I have no idea what is this hydro, whatever you
Well, hydrodipping's a tank. You actually spray a pattern or drop a printed pattern onto water, and you spray a releasing agent, and you actually dip the product that you want to take the image onto.
Okay.
Onto your product.
So you don't think that happened here?
I don't think so, because there's points and they're all even and they're the same length, and I can't tell.
So then the other option of process would be a shrink, you say?
It could have been a shrink wrap, but even at that point, it's going to be a tube that's printed and joined. So the amount of labor that's going to go into perfectly joining up a heat shrinking tube to slide onto a butt and shrink it so it matches up, I don't think that's what would make sense to me in a manufacturing facility.
Okay, is it possible that it was an entire tube and then they did the wrap after?
No,
No?
I wouldn't think so, because then we'd see damage here, even when we're cutting in the wrap channel. But I don't know what they've done. I'm impressed. I think if they make this looks like snakewood, kinda. So it's a little unnatural looking, but the process that they're using obviously works. I mean, you can't tell that there's a joint. There's no, typically when you see a pointed cue and you hold onto it with your hand and you spin it, you can feel changes in the diameter of the product.
Right.
Because the inlays and the base wood are different densities, you can feel it. This is perfectly smooth. I like the idea. I think they could really go somewhere with this if they could.
If they can well,
They could make the wood look a little less unreal.
unreal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's literally just a print job.
It's a print job. That's right.
If they've got the technology.
They've got the technology to do this. If they tweak up their design a little bit, it's unreal.
Is there such a process where they could 3D print on top of composite? 3D print this? That doesn't exist?
Not that I'm aware of. Not my area of expertise. It's quite possible. I mean, they're making cars that run on batteries. So, I'm absolutely stumped. You caught me out because I can't tell how this was done. Usually we can see evidence of something.
Yeah.
A joint or a misprint or it's crooked. This is all really, it's really quite exact. You know?
Maybe they went over this one with a fine-tooth comb because they
they
knew
said
I was going to bring this to you and ask the question.
To look and see and take this apart. I mean, I kind of like to slice it in half and see what's in there because I am. No, not today.
Not today. Maybe someday we'll cut it in half and see.
I'm quite impressed, actually, though. Little things like I think maybe it is printed because I mean, there's some little things that you can tell that it's a print. It's not rings and a built cue.
Yep.
But I think in general this is fantastic.
Okay.
And if it hits the way I think it probably does, I haven't hit this cue yet. I think for people getting into the game and sport of billiards, it might be a fantastic option.
Yeah, around $300 American, and I mean, where's the shaft? I mean, you had it in your hand before we pressed record on the camera, and
I'm saying it feels good. I'd almost like them to send me one for my cue that I could play with too, because it feels all right.
I'm sure they would be open.
It's an interesting product for sure.
Right on.
Very well done.
I did not come here thinking today that I would stump you.
I'm stumped.
You
Yeah.
Give me a concrete answer.
No, there's no concrete answer for me. I don't know. I don't know. And I'll just say that the way that this sticker or print or whatever this is, it's an overlay. It is.
Sticker cheapens it. I mean.
It really does.
Yeah.
But the way they've done this, so they've lined the grains up just like a cue builder would do on one of our builds. So I'm impressed with a lot of parts of this cue. Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me on.
I value your opinion and your friendship.
You're gonna make me. Am I blushing right now? Trey.
All right.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Absolutely. You look great. It's great.
I love Darcy. He is so much fun and he is a natural in front of a camera. Very, very cool thing happened while I was there. Before we started shooting is another cue maker who happened to be in that pool hall that day came over, and both of them had this cue in their hands and they were looking at it and they were trying to figure out how Rhino Billiards did this and how they were jiving off of each other. I actually said to the cue maker, you know what? I'll take my microphone off right now, give it to you. Can you guys both go on camera and just have the conversation that you're having right now, right? Because this is fantastic stuff. And he did not want to go on camera, and I respect that. Some people just aren't comfortable in front of the camera. But some of the ideas that they were coming up with, it was pretty cool just to listen to them. Two brilliant minds come together. But before I go to my final recommendations, I want to just talk about the few questions that I sent to Rhino because I wanted answers, and I think that they're pretty interesting. So here we go. I asked, can you give more detail on how the name RETRÅ reflects your Vietnamese heritage? I didn't understand the statement fully. How so? At first, we planned to name it the Retro Series, meaning to bring back good old memories and renew them with a fresh outlook. Then we had the idea to call it RETRÅ with that little hat symbol, which is how we spell it in Vietnamese. The O with the hat, forgive me, I don't know the name of it, is a letter in our alphabet. We wanted to highlight that the cue is made in Vietnam and that we can provide high quality pool cues in the market. I love that. The Retro cue has a much tighter joint. Have you adjusted the pin size slightly, the thread size on the shaft, or perhaps both? We slightly modified the joint in the shaft to ensure the cue butt and pool shaft fit as good as possible. Have any of the materials changed recently in the shaft that comes with the Retro? Phenolic inserts, foam inside the carbon fiber sheath. The shaft that comes with the Retro is the same shaft on the Eclipse, but has an improved tip. So nothing changed about the shaft, it's literally just the tip. The following questions get into proprietary aspects of your process, so please only answer what you feel comfortable with. Your butts are composite. What is your definition of composite? For example, a composite hockey stick are made from carbon fiber sheets impregnated with partial cured resin. Can you confirm what your composite is made of? Our cue butt is made of composite material, which is a mix of carbon fiber and glass fiber to achieve optimal balance, feel, and feedback. Interesting. In the future, if you ever decided to start delivering inlay cues, would your composite material dull drill bits faster or slower than wood? When it came to inlay cues, their response was, we currently don't have any confirmation on inlay cues. Now, I understand that you need to protect your proprietary process from other companies, but it would be amazing if you could get a few behind the scenes videos or even just stills, pictures, that I could show the viewers. Examples would be a photo of the factory / workplace, the 3D printer, the overlay process, clear coating process. It's incredibly difficult finding anything on overlay technology on the internet. I'd love to provide a little insight on how you've refined your process. We are sorry to inform you that currently we're unable to share the manufacturing process as it is our company's secret. However, if we can share anything in the future, we will definitely do so. I get this. Knockoffs and copycats are a big deal in that part of the world. I've dealt with other companies and they all say the same thing. They're going to protect what they do because once someone finds out how they're doing it, they copy the process and then their competition. So I get that. I didn't think that they would send me anything, but it doesn't hurt to try. I love the fact that they're protecting their proprietary secrets. If you can stump somebody like Darcy and the other cue maker that came along there that wasn't on camera, you've done something right here, okay? It looks great, okay? It really does, and it feels good. It feels good in the hands, and it hits great too, okay? If you're looking for a deflection test, I want to go on just a little bit of a rant here, okay? If you're looking for a deflection test, that is not going to happen in this channel. I don't know how many times I get asked, so how does the shaft play like this shaft? Or can you compare it to that shaft? How much less deflection? I'm not going down that road, and I'm tired of answering that question. Here are the facts, okay? There are tons of pool shafts out there that are low deflection and that are carbon fiber, right? It doesn't matter, okay? I'm telling you, it's a low deflection shaft, okay? If I did a, that test where you've got a ball on this side of the table and I put the cue ball in the center and I play massive outside or inside and I cut the ball this way or that way, that's not telling you anything. That doesn't mean you can do it either, okay? There's so many inconsistencies to that test, it doesn't really tell you, okay? How hard I hit it, how much English I throw on it, even where my bridge hand is distance-wise from the tip matters. Some people reached out to me. I'll throw their video in the description. It was a really interesting video, and they've really broken down the process that the arch, your bridge hand matters, right? So what if someone is doing that test and it's way up here instead of a person that's way back there? It actually plays. It's actually a really interesting topic, okay? So I'm not going to be talking about the deflection in this video. This is a low deflection shaft, okay? Just like anything, if you play with it long enough, you gain the muscle memory on how this plays and you will play well with it, okay? Does it have less deflection than a standard deflection shaft like my Hubler? Absolutely. That's all I'm going to say, okay? They all play just a little bit differently, and there's a whole bunch of them that quite frankly play the same. They're all low deflection shafts, right? But what are my recommendations, okay? First recommendation is the butt. It's a no-brainer. Right now I've got my playing cue, like I said. It is extension ready. Ironically enough, okay, when I take the Rhino bumper and I throw it into my playing cue, it won't go in. But there must be enough thread catching on to the inside of the Rhino that I'm able to tighten up this extension, see? So now it's extension ready, okay? So I'll just keep that there until Rhino comes forth with their extension ready bumper, okay? That's the no-brainer. I know it's on their radar. Another recommendation for me is the shaft, okay? So this is the big one, all right? What you've done here with this shaft is a quantum leap forward, as far as I'm concerned. Darcy said that Hubler was the abnormal one by using nylon and tightening up that joint like that. Mez is all about a tight joint, as we've talked about already, right? Nobody in your market, Rhino Billiards, has what you just did here, okay? Nobody that I know of. There's no carbon fiber shaft that is tight like this. So this is a big deal, okay? And I thank you for doing that. However, as we've stated before, continuous improvement in this industry, right? You're gonna have to keep continually being a step ahead. So if I was you, and I'm not, but this is like a desire of mine, is can you, and I'm gonna ask you a question here, can you stay in this price range, but change what's going on right here, okay? I can grab your competition's cue shaft right now. It looks identical. This insert here, this is a plastic insert, right? Obviously yours is threaded a little bit smaller than the competition because the competition, they all go on a little wobbly until they get to the end, right? Yours doesn't, okay? Can you change this? Can you do what Hubler did? And this is a question, right? Can you do the nylon insert? Hypothetical situation, hypothetical question, right? Darcy says that Paul Hubler, you know, building cues is about experimentation, right? Paul Hubler probably had a bunch of nylon sitting around and he said, well, you know what, I'm gonna try that. So he threw some nylon in there and lo and behold, it was good. I've demonstrated to you that my Hubler is still tight 30 years later. That speaks to durability and quality, right? They have a 5/16 by 18 thread joint. I don't know if that plays an issue into it. This is a 3/8 by 8 radial that you have. I don't think it matters. Andrew at Jaworski Pool Practice had an interesting point when we talked about it, and he said that the elasticity of nylon, the properties of that type of plastic play, right? You know, it compresses and then it expands and it comes back. And yes, everything wears in the end, but I've proven to you that 30 years later, this still plays, right? What if, Rhino Billiards, you changed this and you had a nylon insert in this shaft? That's an honest question. I believe success in business is differentiation. How do you differentiate yourself? No one, and I mean no one, is doing that, okay? You've taken the first step. I believe your shaft now is better than most of your competition now, just because of how tight it is. I love it. And I, as I stated before, believe this plays, okay? Back in the day, everybody had one-piece cues. The only reason a two-piece cue exists is because we wanted to start transporting them more, right? So then the mission was to try to make this two-piece play like a one-piece. I'm a believer that tightness in the joint plays, okay? The fact that you've already taken a step, I love it, okay? I guess that's what I'm going to leave you with here is, overall, this is a huge step forward for Rhino Billiards. So much so, and Rhino probably is not going to like that I say this, I don't know why you would buy an Eclipse anymore. That's a fact. Unless you want the ability to have different diameter of shafts, carbon fiber shafts, and different pins, right? With the Retro, you don't have that option. You're getting the 3/8 by 8 pin and you're getting the 12.5 diameter carbon fiber shaft. That's it. You don't get those choices, right? Maybe that's why Rhino is not giving that flexibility to you, because they don't want to completely counterfeit the Eclipse. But my honest opinion is after I got done reviewing Eclipse, I really haven't played with it, right? I went back to my regular playing cue. What's happened with this is I played with this a ton, and guess what? I didn't go back to my regular playing cue. I'm still playing with it, right? I'm going out to my summer league team and I'm playing with this cue and loving it. So that's the difference, right? I love the feel of this one. This one was different, right? Obviously the tip came into it. The wrap, the more aggressive wrap, I didn't like that. This, perfect, okay? Rhino Billiards, you did something good here. To all the consumers out there, do your research, okay? Do your research. Tons of competition out there, but definitely consider Rhino. Check them out. Maybe there's someone in your city that has one. Hit some balls with it. Hopefully it's still the time crystal tip on there so that you can see that I'm not blowing smoke up your you know what, all right? That's it. That's everything I got. Congratulations, Rhino. You did something really, really good here. And I can't wait for the further improvements and the things that you got going on, because it's pretty exciting. Keep it going. In the meantime and in between time, I'm going to catch you on the flip side. Peace.